Hey guys, Lytane here, and I believe everything happens for a reason, that the universe has some kind of plan for us, even if it's not all going according to plan, because most plans do go awry. But because the universe has a plan, it sent me a sign through Netflix to watch a new television show called Dirk Gently Holistic Detective. And because I watched it, I want to talk about it, so today I'm going to see if it is worth it. The character of Dirk Gently was created by Douglas Adams, a great writer that wrote the ever-popular Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy books. He also wrote some other books about a character named Dirk Gently and how he is a holistic detective. That means that he listens to his gut and guesses what to do, not worrying about facts or evidence like normal detectives. The universe guides him. This was turned into a series in 2010 that takes a bit more of a serious tone, but I want to talk about the latest version of the show. The show starts with Dirk Gently getting a brand new case. A man hires him to solve a murder, and that's fine until you hear the details of this murder. He wants Dirk to solve his own murder that is going to happen in 6 weeks' time. But how does he know all about this? Meanwhile, a lowly bellboy named Todd is off to work his pathetic job, going through another day of unhappiness. But things are gonna get a little strange today. There's a strange dog, strange happenings in the hotel, and wait, was that himself? When investigating the penthouse after some crazy stuff happened, he has no idea what's going on, but has now become a person of interest in the murder spree that happened in there. But weird is the name of the game when the police, some shady looking military, some bold guys with like strange tattoos, a dog, a cat, the Rowdy 3, with its 4 members of course, are all causing trouble, and it seems to all be tied to a man that keeps calling himself Todd's best friend even though they've just met, and that man is Dirk Gently. Dirk Gently has a giant cast of characters, with quite a few of them recurring over the entire season or 2, but let's talk about the main one, Dirk Gently, played by Samuel Barnett, who was also in Penny Dreadful. As a character, he is pretty fun, because he's way over the top, and he gets this little bit of a, I guess a gay vibe to him, because he's like doing stuff like that and stuff, but he's not gay, he's not straight, no, who knows what he is, he doesn't actually show any interest in girls or boys throughout the film, so it doesn't matter, but he just gives off that kind of vibe. But he's also that borderline annoying, because he's just so over the top, and he's so in your face and quite different from every other character. But due to the fact that most of the other characters are fairly grounded more in reality, it does help make him shine because he's just this wacky person, but it also makes him a little bit more grounded himself, because then you get to cut away to somebody that is not as quirky as he is. But as a character, I really enjoyed Dirk throughout the entire show run. The other main character is Todd, played by Elijah Wood. You might know him as like Mr. Frodo from Lord of the Rings or something, that tiny little film. But as a character, he's the straight man of the duo. He's the narcissistic, pessimistic kind of guy that's just sort of getting dragged along throughout the whole thing. He is our way into the show, because we doubt a lot of the things that are going on, and he questions a lot of stuff, so that way we get to learn the answers. And because he is a bit of a downer character with Dirk Gently, which is an upper character, they sort of balance each other out, and they have some great chemistry, even at the start of the show when they're supposed to be, they just met, but he keeps calling Todd his best friend. But over the course of the show, they do, become friends and everything like that. And it's good to see their relationship grow and change, especially in the second season of the show. These two main characters are surrounded by a bunch of other characters with great personalities, like Bart, who is played by Fiona Dourif, who is a holistic assassin. So basically, if she gets an urge or a gut instinct or anything like that to kill somebody, she does. Anybody that comes into her path or crosses her path pretty much dies. It's really crazy. So she doesn't have any friends, and she's a bit of a strange person until she meets Ken, which sort of brings out her more human side, because she starts making friends, because she makes a conscientious choice not to kill, which is the first time in her life not to do so, which is absolutely crazy when you think about it. She also can't get hurt, and she's just this really fun character, and even though she's going on murder sprees and stuff, you can't help but just sort of like her, because she's childish, and she's just learning about the world. We also have Farrah Black, who's played by Jada Shet, and she's a total badass in this show. In the first season, she isn't given as much time to shine because part of it is her being locked up and then explaining how she got locked up and all that kind of stuff. But in the second season, oh my gosh, she is just a complete badass. She's very in control. She knows what she's doing. She's very authoritative, and she knows how to kick butt as well. She's a fantastic character and so much fun to watch because she's such a strong character, but she also has emotions. Like bad things happen to her and she does cry. She does have emotions. It's not like she's just a complete badass person that is just, you know, dead to the world. No, she has a full range in her character, which is good to see. Dirk Gently is a show that wants to give a lot of attention to detail, whether it is what the characters are saying or doing, or just by setting things up for a payoff later. Because of this, the show is a little non-linear. While it starts just before the murder, we are often shown what other characters are doing with some flashbacks on how they got to where they are at the present point in time, which can be a little bit confusing at times. But in spite of this, the plot is actually easy enough to follow as long as you pay attention. Each season has its own self-contained story, with the first being about a murder and the second trying to find a missing boy. And while the idea sounds simple, the show is anything but that. Because there's such a big cast of characters, the show likes to cut away to what these other people are doing, as well as going flashbacking in time to show you how they've gotten up to the point in the present time of the show. Because of this, there is so much story to tell, and because there also is very short seasons, being I think it's 8 and 10 episodes long, the show feels very condensed in that manner. So it does get a lot of story. There's not a lot of filler like most shows would have. Everything in every episode sort of leads on to something into the next or into a future episode. Take for instance the fact that in the first episode, I believe it was, Dirk and Todd have this little fight and they knock the microwave and it says error. It's a very quick shot, but it's a deliberate shot. Also in the same episode, the strange military people have their sights on Dirk, and one of them's like, I've got the shot, and he's like, and the other one's like, don't take it, and he takes the shot but misses, and it ends up going through the floorboard and going through the roof of Todd's apartment and killing a person in the apartment above him, which just so happens to be a good thing because that guy had a person chained up in the apartment. Then in a future episode, when there's another scene in the apartment and they're all being aroused by the landlord that's trying to ask for money and stuff, because they did this thing with the microwave, it pays off. It goes ding, and it stuffs up, it malfunctions, and it has this thing where they all look at it, and because of that they get to get away from the bad guy. Also, the shot through the floorboard, it takes like several episodes before we find out who that character is in the floor above Todd's house and how they got to that point. It is all really interesting, and one thing leads to another. And because of this cascading domino effect, if you pay enough attention, you can follow along with what's going on, and if you don't pay enough attention, some of this stuff can just seem absolutely random. But the thing is that some of the stuff is absolutely random. In the style of the show, because he's a holistic detective, meaning that the universe is giving him all the answers, it does lead to some strange things where he just says, oh, why don't we just stop here, or why don't we stop there? But the show is self-aware enough that it does poke fun of these things when it does happen, when there's another character inside. If it's just Dirk Gently, he doesn't question anything. But if Todd is there, then he will. Like there's one point where they have a map and they're trying to figure out where this map goes. And Todd's like, how about we pull over and have a look at this map? When they pull over, Dirk's like, yep, this is where the map was meant to lead us. Let's start digging here. And he's like, what? Where did you come up with that? There's no markings on this map. We're in a random field. I just pulled over so we could have a look at the map. And Dirk's like, no, this is where the map was supposed to lead us. And turns out he was right as well, which is absolutely funny. It's stuff like that just makes absolutely no sense, but you can't help but get involved, and you can't help but watch it and have a little bit of fun with it. But if you aren't paying enough attention to it all, it is easy to get distracted by life and things that are going on, that you will miss something that's happening in the story, which can confuse you. But one thing that is good about this show is that the end of each season, Dirk figures out what's going on, and he does this big recap of everything thing, which serves to make sure that the audience is up to speed with what's happening in that case. That's great for the main story, but these side stories don't get the same treatment, and that's where most of the mysteries lie. Like, who is Dirk? What is his backstory? Who are those shady military people? Why are there 4 members in the Rowdy 3? This show has such a broad mystery that only gets the surface scratched over the 2 seasons. Only 2 seasons. After the second season aired in 2017, BBC of America cancelled the show. For some reason, I don't know. Maybe it was too much money, maybe it wasn't raking in enough views, or I don't know. But the second season is its final. And while each season has a self-contained case, so the main case is solved in both seasons, that's fantastic. But that overall larger mystery that they were building up to is not solved or like not filled out in any way, shape or form, which does make me sad, and I just really would like to have had a 3rd season or something to wrap it up at least. There's a lot of humor in this show as well, especially with Dirk and Todd. There's so many moments where they just say something fun, or there's just a new catchphrase, like halfway through the second season, Dirk is all like, man, when I start solving cases, I'm gonna go, did it? And when he solves the case in season 2, he's like, did it? And it's like, it's so silly, but it's also so much fun. All the other characters have a lot of great moments as well, and there's a lot of random humor in the show as well. That it's so much fun, and because of the fun and the mystery, it's easy to get sucked into this show. The 2 seasons we did get are also drastically different from one another, with the first being more sci-fi based with fake science, and the second one has magic and parallel dimensions. Interwoven throughout this is a constant state of random. The universe will provide the answers is the theme of the show, and it works both in sci-fi and fantasy. I was also proud that I figured out the mystery for the second season just moments before Dirk did, and I could do this because a lot of the clues were given to me. The show isn't perfect. A lot of people find Dirk to be a little unbearable, but I like him, and there are plot holes all over the place, but they're usually small ones, and I can forgive it because the show itself is fairly well written. I also had this feeling in season 2 of something more happening behind the scenes, just off of camera, and perhaps it was, but I'll never know because no more episodes will ever be made. Dirk Gently Holistic Detective is, in my opinion, worth it. It is such a fun show. Rarely does a show get me so hooked and entranced with its first episode than a show like this. With the mysteries and the humor and all this random stuff that's just happening, you can't help but get sucked in and want to know what's going on. I watched the entire 2 seasons so quickly that it was just, oh my god, I just wanted more. And then when I found out that there was not going to be a season 3 because the show got cancelled, I was devastated because this show is so well made. There are so many props, there's so much fun things. When they go to a parallel dimension, it is drastically different from our own dimension, and it's different enough to make fun. Like, instead of using swords, the guys use giant pairs of scissors, and not only does that sound silly, but they actually do this effectively. They have a couple of sword fights with the scissors where the scissors act a bit like swords, but then the guys do split them open and, try and, scissor people. Wait, that came out kind of wrong. But they do try and, like, chop people's head off and stuff like that, and it's really, really creative. The entire show just has this air of creativity around it, and I know that it could have gone so much further if it had given just a small bit of a chance. Another season, perhaps 2, just to make more of those grand mysteries a little bit more solved or a little bit more completed, would have been enough for me. Even just one more season to wrap up some of the story threads would have been enough for me, but alas, that's all we're going to get. So if you can handle watching a show that's only like 18 or 19 episodes long with 2 seasons, that's the entire show length, and you just want to have a fun time, then I recommend that you watch Dirk Gently. But if you're the kind that gets really upset when a show gets cancelled way too early in its life, then still watch it anyway because it's fucking awesome, okay? Okay. So guys, tell me what you thought about Dirk Gently. I really hope that you guys go and watch it. It is one of the best shows that I've watched in such a long time that I cannot recommend the show enough. I've been telling all of my friends, all of my family to watch this show, and I've been recommending it to people that probably don't even want to watch it just because I think that they should. And if a lot of people watch it and it gets enough traction, enough hype, and everybody starts liking it and all that kind of stuff, maybe BBC of America will renew the show and go, oh look, everybody's watching it, I guess we'll make another season. And then that will make me really happy. So don't forget to like and subscribe and watch Dirk Gently, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! I want to talk about it, so I'm going to say if it's worth it or not and totally screw up the intro. But this show is not perfect. A lot of people find Dirk to be a little bit unbearable.